Hey, good morning, and welcome to Your Business in Digital. We are so excited to be there. Happy Wednesday. My team and I are here, so we are about to get started, guys. Let us jump in with our intro. So, hey, good morning, guys. Welcome to Your Business in Digital. This is where we connect the dots and the gaps between sales, finance, marketing, and operations. For your business to work in digital, it's really important that you have all the moving parts working together. So, last week we were here, not even last week, actually, it was just this week. It seems so long ago. We just started the show on Monday, but we're back. And I want to do a quick recap of what we talked about. So, we talked about how to really take control of your website. And these are 7 critical questions. So, I'm going to rush through these really quickly because we have today's show. So what's the core purpose of your website, right? You want to ask yourself that. To take control of your website, answer these 7 questions if you're going to make any changes. What's the core purpose of your website? Who are the key stakeholders in your business that your website impacts? Who is the target audience for your website? How to organize your website content based on your goals? What integrations are important to your website, and how is your target audience going to find your website? What key performance indicators matter, and what should you be measuring? So this was a quick recap of what we did last week. I'm going to bring the team back to the stage, and we will jump into today's conversation. Super excited about today's conversation. We are talking about taking the conversation a little bit further around how to really make sure that we are doing a lot. How to make sure that we are converting our websites and we have those clear conversion points for a winning website strategy. So good morning, guys, and welcome. How was our first day on Monday? And we're back again talking websites. How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling awesome. It was good to shake off the cobwebs after being on hiatus, is what I'm calling it, for a couple of months. It's good to be back and to be in our groove. And it was amazing how we just picked up with our vibe where we left off. It is good to see everyone, and welcome back for our community. We're really happy to have you back.
Oh my God. I really enjoyed Monday shows, and I love being back. Yeah, it really felt like it was a little mini vacation. So I'm glad that we're back in the swing. And as Michelle said, clearing the cobwebs and starting fresh to continue to educate our audience.
Awesome.
Excited for season 2. We put a lot of work into crafting the show for this season, and Monday felt great. So looking forward to this season 2, and hope everyone is as well.
Yeah, it did feel really good, and we have put a lot of work into it, right? You guys see the new format. We have our sexy intro. We have all the cool things happening. But what we really want to do is we want to make sure that we're giving you those actionable tips that you can take and implement right away. And you start automatically thinking about all these parts, right? Finance, sales, marketing, and operations, and how they work together to really impact your digital. So, all right, I gotta do some housekeeping. I didn't do this before. So we need you guys to connect with us. We need you to tell your friends. We need you to tell everyone that has a business, small, medium business. We want you to tell them about us, right? So you can connect with us on YouTube at Your Business in Digital. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Your Business in Digital. And of course, we're coming to you in a few other places very soon. We just started uploading to Apple. We started uploading to Spotify. So this podcast is going a little bit further. We have our video podcast in different places. So we will keep you informed as to when we want you to start following us in those platforms. But it's important for us to really distribute our content and make sure that all the small and medium businesses are hearing exactly what we're saying. So super excited about all of that. So let us jump in today. So you know what? We are moving into section number 1, which is our hot topic section. So where is we got a few banners and things, So hot topics today, we are talking about, what we're talking about for hot topics? Does anyone?
We are talking about TikTok today.
We are talking about TikTok today. So important that we pay attention to exactly what is happening in the space, right? So Hot Topics is a new segment that we have as a part of the show. And it's really, really important that we understand what is going on with some of the tools and solutions that we're working with. So, all right. So Michelle, you and I are going to have this conversation, guys. Back. And let's kind of, let's jump in a little bit and talk about TikTok. And, let's talk about what's happening. What we're seeing across the board with TikTok is a lot of banning across countries, right? So
Right.
we're like, TikTok, #1 social media platform. Do I dare say that? Or it was taking over. We have some stats. But TikTok was out there. Everyone's on it. Every country, everything we can think about. People are like, yes. But then all of a sudden, these governments are like, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
What are your thoughts? What are you thinking about TikTok and the banning of TikTok?
It was very, or has been, I should say, quite interesting to see the play across the world. This is what we've been, you and I are stateside in the United States. Our community is global, and so is this problem. It has been a firestorm. It has not just been the flavor of the moment. It has been the thing for a couple of years now. I think one of the stats that you and I were talking about is they've grown from about 100 million monthly users to about 150 active users this year. And a great deal of it, about 15% of it, sits within the people we serve at 100 in the small and medium business range. So for small businesses, this is a big deal to have a new avenue to get their name, not just locally, but globally in the midst of a pandemic in areas that's affordable for them to get a presence where typically you just wouldn't have that availability. Right. But it came with, some privacy concerns, and you're giving up quite a lot. And this is what is, I don't want to say scary, but it is the cautionary tale that most of these countries are putting out there, and the reason why they're tamping down with what's happening and trying to control it, along with, Facebook and Instagram. And those are just a little concerned about the competitive space that they're now in and trying to tamp that down a bit. So there is that political business aspect of it that we should honor as well, because there is that competitive landscape out there that's pushing some of it, at least here in the United States. So
absolutely. You know what? So I think the big conversation is, though, well, we're hearing all this, we're seeing all this. What do we tell small businesses, right? What should they do? Because I hear that TikTok, they're banning TikTok, you know what I mean? And if I am running all my business through TikTok, because sometimes as businesses, we do that, right? We find ourselves in a space where we're working on this particular platform because it does all the right things for us. It drives traffic, it drives revenue. So what are we going to tell small businesses now, small and medium businesses? What are we going to tell them about TikTok, right? Because the idea of this show is for us to really make sure that we're sharing the right information with them. So what do we tell them?
Well, I think our talk track and how we are consulting and advising our clients does not change from the norm of what we have been talking about for a very long time. And that is, frankly, to have a very good online and offline strategy that's omni-channel. Right. Being agnostic is really important because all of your consumers are not meeting you in the same place. Their entry into your world comes from multiple places, and so should you be available and visible in their line of vision in multiple places. So an omni-channel strategy allows you to have control of your customer, control of your audience, and not solo dependent upon what place for your business. I'm not saying that TikTok hasn't driven quite a bit of business, but it also has allowed it to be just an avenue to you so that you can grab a hold of it, pull them in, and then have a more robust and developed conversation and relationship with them. And again, I'm big on being agnostic. whoever, comes to the table, I'm pulling it in, and my channel strategy is going to be very even keel for a number of reasons. It affords us, as I have here, the efficiency and then consistency in messaging by allowing your business to be in multiple places. It will force that type of behavior and also take away that sting in case one moves away. You have other ways to get that business into the building.
Right. And I think it comes down to TikTok is not your business, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so you want to make sure that you're focused on your business. So if changes are happening with any of these platforms, right, whether it's Meta, whether it's Twitter, if it's TikTok, you want to come back to your business goals. What am I doing for my business? Where am I? Where is my target audience? You really want to hone in on that. And how am I getting people into my funnel? How am I getting them to a place where they're connecting with me? I have their email address. I may have their WhatsApp number, whatever it is, whatever the best communication is for your target audience, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be stuck in TikTok and have all your business driving through TikTok. So that's what we're going to say. Those are our 3 points for you today, right? Make sure you're not hung up on the TikTok.
Right. Not one place. It has been a great vehicle for many people, especially when we needed to find another way to communicate and to get our names out there and to have our businesses known. But goodness gracious, you can't just have one way. You don't even have just one way into your house. Why would you have one way into your business? It just doesn't make any sense. So,
100%. So I'm going to get Andrea and Michael back to the conversation so that they can kind of give their 2 cents on this. What are you guys thinking about TikTok and the banning of TikTok?
So, I love what Michelle just said. You have more than one entrance to your house. So why, you have to treat your business the same way. And I think, from a financial perspective, that is the best decision. Your entire business cannot rest on any social media platform. And I think that's what we'll be discussing later on when we talk about websites and that kind of thing. You have to have other areas that people can come into your business, because tomorrow, a law is passed banning the use of this app. Are you saying that your entire customer base, is gone up because you've totally rested everything in this one product? Your business model should never, rest like that. So from a financial perspective, it's quite dangerous to rest your hopes and dreams in an app, and especially an app like TikTok, when it is so volatile right now.
Yeah, agreed to all. I don't want to sum it up like that, but it's agreed to all. Definitely, TikTok, we've seen that it's great for small businesses to drive that visibility. We've seen that most people use it to push to another platform, right? Whether it's out to IG or out to their website. So it really bears the point of, as Michelle said, yes, I love that analogy. Your house has many doors. So you should be looking at what are the doors that you own. And the two big doors we want to own is into our website and email.
100% website and email. We are advocates for website and email. Drive people to your website, drive them, collect their email, and start nurturing them. That's where you really start building the conversation, right? If you want to lean into text messaging as well. So it's not, we're not saying walk away from TikTok right now. We're just saying don't make it your be all and end all, right? And we want you to pay attention. Whatever's happening in the news, sure, that's important, but we wanted you to always pay attention to your business goals and focus on that. And that's how you really analyze the impact of what's happening to TikTok and your business. So that's the end of our hot topic segment for today. I love this little hot topic vibe that we're doing now. It's very cool. It allows us to, get some points. And what I really like about it is that we're not just talking about here's the problem or here's what's happening in the world. We're giving these businesses things that they can actually do. So we remain giving that practical solution for marketing your business online. So another little tagline in there. And I think I'm going to pop up one of my favorite banners, which I haven't done in a while. Marketing in motion.
Agreed.
Right. So guys, we are moving on to our other new segments. Going beyond the likes. So, what is going beyond the likes? Going beyond the likes is our segment that really allows us to have that conversation of how do we really move through these business goals? How do we really make sure that we're leveraging digital and seeing the impact of our dollars, our efforts, everything that we need to say? Because we know that businesses are spending a lot of time working on digital, so we want to make sure that you see the impact of that. So, our segment today is how to convert more visitors into customers with a winning website strategy. Now, again, Monday, we talked a little bit about redesigning your website, what that feels like, what that looks like, the questions you should ask yourself. And again, I talked about that at the top of the show, but now we're taking it to the next level. Having this website, how to convert more visitors into customers with a winning strategy. Because having a website is all well and cool, but what's important is driving the right people to your website and making sure that they are converting. And what does conversion mean? It could be getting an email address. It could be them purchasing something from you. It could be a number of things. It really depends on what you've defined in your goal. So go back and check out the episode from Monday. But let's jump into the conversation. So, of course, we like to break things down into 7 points because 7 points allow us to effectively manage the conversation and give you the tips and tricks that you need and give you the things that you should be thinking about. So, all right, let's go with point number 1. What is point number 1? Can't wait to see it appear on the screen. There you go. So just FYI, we have a little bit of a background. We have a new production assistant in the background. Shout outs to Nia from the Monovan team, who is waking up early to help us get all of this running. And I'm not touching anything. Well, I'll touch some stuff just now. So anyway, so we want to point number 1 in making sure that your website is a tool that converts is evaluating your overall performance to assess the effectiveness of strategies and identifying areas for improvement. So, Andrea, this is all you because it comes back to those KPIs and those numbers. So jump in here and talk about that a little bit. Go for it, Andrea.
Absolutely. So you want to understand the success of the website. You want to understand how successful is this website. So I've broken it out. There are 3 things I think that you could measure. So the first thing that you'd want to measure is the actual visitor rate. Now, mind you, I'm not going to call any big technical terms here. I'm just trying to break it down so that business owners can understand what they should measure. So let's talk about that visitor rate. If you have a website, the first thing that you want to understand is are people actually visiting the website over time? So definitely you want to look at what is the rate of visitors last month, this month, and you want to keep going through to see what those numbers look like. So last month you had 100 visitors. This month you had 120. Next month, when you look at it, you see it's 130, 140. So at the end of the day, you want to understand what is the visitor rate to see how effective the website is performing. Another KPI that you would want to look at would be, after you look at the visitor rate, you want to understand, well, what in terms of conversion, because we spoke about conversion, right? You want to understand, well, okay, are these visitors actually converting to sales? So out of all the visitor traffic, what does that number look like when I compare it to my actual customer, right? So out of 1,000 visitors, I ended up with 500 actual customers. So you're looking at something around 50%. And that gives you an idea of how effective this website is performing. And the last thing I think that you'd want to look at is you'd want to look at, so I said visitor, I said customer, you'd want to look at how much sales is actually coming from the website, right? Because, and I think we touched on this on Monday. I keep saying last week. We touched on this, where how is the website contributing? So a good KPI to look at would be to say, out of all the sales, how much is actually coming from the website? Because then that will give you an idea of how much to invest behind the website, right? If the website is not contributing to sales, then you have to go back to your overall business strategy. Is the website even making sense, or is you need to do work behind it? But you really want to understand how much of the website, how much of your sales is the website actually contributing. So I think those are 3 simple KPIs or simple numbers that business owners could start to look at and start to make sense of if it relates to their business goals.
I love that. Oh my goodness. So for those of you just joining us, we are talking today about how to convert more visitors into customers with a winning website strategy. And that, my friends, was point number one. So on to point number two. All right. So point number two is where we talk about the website needs to offer a user-friendly experience that includes a mobile-first and optimized load speed. So what does that really mean, right? Your website needs to be quick, and people need to be able to get to your website from their mobile, and it needs to be really effective, right? We are all holding this in our hands constantly, so we're always looking at things on our mobile first, on our mobile phone first. So making sure that your website is set up for mobile, making sure that it's user friendly, making sure that when someone gets to your website, your potential customer, that they're not walking away from the website because it took too long to load, they didn't see the right information there. You want to really pay attention to that user experience. Those first 3 seconds are the most important part of the user experience, and it determines if they continue to go down the funnel, right? Because if they find that the website experience isn't so great, what you might find at times is that they might just simply go to the competition, and you don't want them to do that because our behavior is such where we no longer stay around if it doesn't feel good or if it doesn't load quickly, right? We are very much instant gratification, and we want our websites to be instant, to instantly gratify our customers. So that is point number two. Now on to point number three. Go for it, Michelle.
So in point number three, and before we go on to point number three, I want to say something about point number two. You're right, Tamara. I think when we actually touched on this on Monday, and I know last season as well, when somebody is trying to pay attention or they're gathering attention, you have 0.7 tenths of a second to keep and maintain their attention before they move on. So that slow loading website is enough for any of us to say, I'm done with you. Let me move on to somebody that's going to deliver to me faster. It is an indication to them of how they're going to end up working with you as a business. So it's important for you to make sure that that speed and your availability is there right away. It's your first impression. Now, on to a third point, which is what we're engaging. Your content needs to be attractive. This pulls right into the next place. Attractive to reader that highlights and solves their pain points. And you need to include things that are important to them. We're very visual people. We need things in bullet point format. You need to be able to answer their question before it is asked. And that is really important. Moving to the first part of this, the thing that we're speaking about highlighting and solving their pain points, we have to remember it's not about us. It's about the people that we're trying to attract. So the words and the messaging and the images that we deliver needs to speak to them and subliminally and also in their face answer what they're asking and answer the reason that they're coming. There's a pain that they're trying to relieve. Even if that's that buying, that nice fitting pair of blue slim fit high-waisted jeans, you're trying to answer that problem for them, but you need to deliver it in a visual manner or in the words that says, yes, that is curvy fit and it's going to, fit and not give me a gap in my waistline and, all of those things. So you need to deliver the words that meets what their needs are without them even knowing that was a need. So you have to deliver that information to them in an engaging way. And like Tamara said, pretty fast too. They want to see it quickly. So put it up there in their face where they need to see it.
And you know what? I really love that. One of the other points to add to this is talking about the frequently asked questions. We're working with a client right now where we're focused on frequently asked questions. And what we're using that to do is to draw people in based on things that they're searching and the answers that are not available online. So it gives us a clear indication, right? Someone searches, they get the answer to that question. It tells us that that's the content that they're looking for. So frequently asked questions is something that's so helpful to your customer because when they're searching, they're looking for an answer, right? They're searching sometimes in questions. So it's a great way to have that engaging, bingeable content because once we're starting to the research process and understanding something as a consumer, we tend to go down the rabbit hole. We want to know more and more and more to determine determine, is this the right product for me? So make sure and think about your website. Do you have frequently asked questions on there? And what are the frequently asked questions that are around in your industry, right? Because those two can be the pain points that we've talked about. So really connecting all those dots. We hear people talk about those pain points all the time, but what are they really? They're the things that your customers searching for online, those problems that they want to solve. What are they putting in? So it comes back to your keyword strategy as well. And then also building out those frequently asked questions around that. So that's just a tip.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, get it done.
Right. And one of the other reasons why FAQs are really important is because when you're setting up and putting your verbiage out there and your descriptors, being too calorie dense, that goes to tell you where my brain is today. When you're too word dense, it becomes a problem that people don't want to read through. So we're asking you to be succinct in your descriptors, in your initial information, but the other information that's imperative, like how many days does it take for you to deliver my product, Jimmy? That can be something that sits in an FAQ. Or the questions that people are asking you over time, the questions that you go to look for when you are on someone else's website and you don't see the information available, those questions that you're asking, somebody else is asking too, and may be applied to your business. So think of those things as well. It's not rocket science. It is really fairly simple. Act like you're the consumer, and what questions do you need to have answered for you to say yes, to click yes and buy? What do you need to have answered?
I love that. All right, Michael, let's go for point number 4.
So we're talking sales strategy with clear and concise offers with defined call to action. So that's CTAs. So, we like to say CTAs, and I know we like to break things down that, we are the marketers. That's our internal language. So the call to actions. Call to actions are things like subscribe, follow, etc. So you want to make sure that you're being clear with those call to actions, that you have that strategy, that when they come to your site, what's the first call to action you need them to take? What continues those touch points as they go through your world, right? Don't be afraid to get descriptive on those buttons. So we've moved away from just saying literally just subscribe. We can say a full long button that says subscribe to get this infographic that will describe how to do something in your world, right? When we don't have these clear call to actions in sales, it's the same problem of you haven't asked for the sale. That's what it is. So you've got to be asking for the customer to take an action. It's how you learn how they're searching for you, what they're trying to solve, and if this path is relevant to them. So you definitely want to make sure that as you're looking at that copy, remember what Michelle said, it's not about you, it's about the customer. Once they've seen a bit of content that says, okay, this is probably where my solution lies. What's the next action I take? So you'd have, like, for example, we are fond in lead generation of take the quiz, right? And the quiz is always preceded by a challenge question. How well are you doing this for your business? Take the quiz. So you want to make sure that those offers are clear, concise, because we don't want to read too much. That whole problem of, I want to solve it quickly, send me down a road, let me get it solved.
Oh man, good stuff. So how about I just pass the sales piece off to Michael when it was really meant to go to Michelle?
I would have popped in there.
We can handle it. So we can all step in.
Everyone's catching and they're like, wait, I got it. So Michelle,
No.
not have you had offense to that.
It is, but see, this is the great thing. When Michael and I used to be on the stage together too, it was, we touch each other all the time in in the cross-pollination of how we do things. So I thought it was just great where I can sit back and just listen to Michael talk because he's got this. It's okay. It is okay. Just to cap what Michael was saying, it's really imperative that you understand what your ask is of your clients before they enter your world. You've invited them into your space. So how would you like them to enter? And what is your ask of them? And what are you trying to serve to them in order for them to say yes to you and maintain in your sales continuum? So it needs to be clear, like Michael says, it needs to be a defined ask. Nobody likes the gray matter. You don't want it in your world. So why aren't you asking that of your client and being clear to them as well? And again, understand what is your end goal? when you're here? What do you want them to be, and reverse engineer into that ask and your strategy? That's what you need to understand when you are trying to define that strategy and that offer.
And just to cap it all off, too many call to actions create confusion. I don't know where to go. So if I, hit one call to action, it's not where I want to go. I hit another call to action, it's still not where I want it to be. I'm out. I'm going to click and just look for the competition, because you've led me down too many wrong paths that don't solve my problem.
Oh, let me rabbit hole here with you, because
come on, let's do it this morning. Let's do it.
It's true.
I'm in call to action church. Right? Because the call to action is important, but we want to kind of come back and take that back to the goal. Right. So your call to action should really connect to your goal. What are you trying to accomplish? And once you define those goals, you may want to have maybe 2 or 3 call to actions maximum, right? Across the board, across your entire strategy. Call to action 1, what is your primary call to action? What do you really want people to do? What do you really, really want them to do? Do you want them to sign up for your email? Do you want them to buy from you? Do you want them to request more information? That's that primary call to action. And then maybe you have 2 other call to actions that are your secondary call to actions. But when they do that, it still leads them back to the main call to action, right? So if they, for instance, you want them to sign up for something and they don't do that, what's the first thing that they're doing? Are they watching a video? Can you track the information to see if they've watched a video? And if they've watched a video, then you're like, okay, cool. After the video, do I present them with another opportunity to sign up for my email? Because now you're getting them back to that place of that primary call to action, right? So it's about your goal and what you want people to do. So don't just CTA, call to action, all over the place. You really want to have those clear, defined call to actions. Consider one primary and consider the other ones secondary, but they all lead back to that first one. So, I don't want to rabbit hole anymore.
Yeah. But I want to add to that, and what you're saying, and that when that call to action and what you're trying to do and attach to that goal is, where are you in your relationship with that client? The know, like, trust factor. If you're asking them to buy something and they don't really know anything about your business, mentally they're saying, I don't even know you like that. Why are you trying to attract, ask me for something like this, ask me for my money, and I don't even know you. So you have to understand that call to action needs to meet them where they are in your relationship. Ask them, know, like, trust. I've got to trust you a lot before I'm handing over my money to you, and I can't even see you. I don't know your face. I don't know anything about you. So tell me about you. And that call to action, like you said, Tamara, could be, click on here to subscribe to the newsletter. Learn more about us here. Click here if you want to see a visual of this. Click here for the FAQs. There's things that you said that brings them and brings them through the nurture sequence of your relationship to that point of yes. Yes, I'd like to engage with you, so I'm going to learn more. Yes, I'd like to come and watch us on the podcast and engage with us here. Yes, I'm going to click on the next thing so then I can move further and pull them into our world, and that's your GPS for them. The point of entry to the point of to the point of yes. So now I'm getting out of that rabbit hole.
Andrea, anything to add in this rabbit hole? We're already here.
Listen, but what I'm hearing is, don't ask for the date on the first time you meet the person. You clearly have to know the person before you ask them out on a date. So what I'm understanding is, the customer has to know you and understand you, and I could appreciate that from being a customer myself. You go on these sites and it's the buy now, and everything it's buy now, and it's like, but I don't even know anything about you. So how do you want me to buy from you? So definitely, I think this is an important point. Because without this clear strategy, the CTA might just go to waste. You'll have it all over the place. And then if you go back to my point of KPIs, then the KPIs wouldn't make sense. The KPIs will reflect how poor the CTA is, because you may not get the clicks, you may not get the visits, you may not get the sales, and then so everything kind of ties together. But yeah, this is a serious rabbit hole.
It is. And CTAs, to give some examples, because we're here always to simplify what we're talking about. When we say different, your different CTAs, think of your sales funnel. So at different points in your sales funnel, there's going to be different calls to action. So somebody at the top of your sales funnel, you may be just asking them to subscribe to get an information packet, for example. But somebody who's midway down, maybe closer to conversion, your call to action maybe book a consultation call with me, right? So this is where, as Tamara was saying, you want to have just those couple call to actions, but tie them to how people move through your funnel. What does your funnel look like? And what are those call to actions you're going to ask at each point in that funnel? That's the end of the squirrel chasing this morning. I don't go down rabbit holes. I stopped that in 2021, but chasing squirrels still applies, Canadian and all.
Whatever crazy joke is that? Point number 5. All right. So keep content fresh and engaging with regular updates, right? So, the reality of the situation is if your website is the place that people are coming to, you want them to be able to find the best updated information. You want to find those pages that you're probably continuing to update, right? Do you have a blog? So you're adding information to that page. Maybe there's 1 or 2 pages on your website that you say, hey, this is where I'm going to provide fresh content all the time. It's good for your customer. It's good for Google. It's good for a lot of things for the business, right? So what are the things that you're updating? It's not everything that you need to do. We're not saying all the time, rewrite all the content for your website, but keep the information up to date. And Andrea, I want you to jump in here because this is one of the things where I feel, especially in the Caribbean, right? And we know that Andrea is in Trinidad. I'm from Trinidad. Michael's from Trinidad. Andrea's in Trinidad. Michelle's from.
I'm Trinidad adjacent. There's a lot of similarities in New Orleans, my hometown. That so I'm adjacent.
But Andrea, in the Caribbean, we find that a lot of websites, we find that people sometimes don't do business on websites because there is that trust factor with, maybe not enough regular updates because, back to our conversation on Monday, the websites have become a little bit more like magazines. I've been to websites where I've been like, when was this information last updated? So what are your thoughts on keeping that content fresh and the opportunities that are within the Caribbean businesses to do that?
I think there's a big opportunity for Caribbean companies to step up and use the website more effectively with, keeping it updated. I go to a lot of websites and when you click on it, you're looking at information. You might see an ad for something that was last year, or you may see something that they post an article on something and the date of the post, the date of the article is last year or even year before, and you look at, and generally you don't get a sense when you go to the website that you're going to get any kind of updated information. And it actually, as a user, it could make you feel, well, I wonder if this company even operating. Is this company even still relevant to my search? Right? So it really could leave that a bad stain from a user perspective because you may move on to someone else who's more updated. And it's funny that you highlighted the Caribbean users, because you may see that on a website, but if you go to their Facebook page, it's probably a more updated. And I don't know, we just more into these social media pages. So the website might be dead, no activity, but actually if you go to their Facebook page or their Instagram page, you may actually see more relevant information. You might see the daily activities. If it's a food place and they have a daily menu, that's usually how they share it. But the website usually lacks usually lacks content and usually lacks relevant and dated content. Right?
It sounds like they need Monovan Digital in their life. I'm just.
They probably do.
Well, I was just going to say we've got to talk about how we solve for that, right?
Right.
That's what it comes down to, and this acronym CMS, Content Management System. So taking it back to the top of when you're thinking of your website strategy, what are those areas that need to be updated with what frequency? Your FAQs, for example. Don't do an FAQ and then walk away and leave that FAQ from 2 years ago that's there. Your business is an ongoing concern, and therefore your website presence should reflect that. That's as simple as it gets, right? So what you're looking at is making sure that you have a content management system in place, or you have a good company like Monovan Digital be in your corner that can help you, keep that content going. You don't want to lose that organic search. You don't want to lose people because, exactly as Andrea said, where your other profiles are more up to date than your website. And I'm searching for my solution. You've done a brilliant research paper within an industry, especially in that B2B space, but you haven't updated it for 2023. And that's a simple process to, take an article, update it, bring it up to speed, and you're back in the rankings. You're back showing up at the top of search. All of these things that you want to have happen for your business. So think about when you're talking to your marketer, what's that CMS? How are you going to manage that content? What content? Is it your FAQs? Is it your contact us? Is it your latest successes in your business, right? Is it your customer reviews? Most important area. We know that people look at reviews, and if your reviews are outdated, then as Andrea said, I don't know. They don't have the reviews are good, but that was like, what have you done for me lately, right?
Right. That was like 2 years ago.
Correct.
It's interesting that we're saying this because I consult with my customers. The first thing that I say with my clients is website first. Whatever you're doing in your priority of where it goes, it needs to be a muscle reflex for you. It goes on my website first and then downstream to the other places because that's your lowest cost of doing business. That's the lowest point and cost of entry is your website. And I'm all about the money. Bring me the money to the lowest place in the most efficient manner. Your website first. If you're leading with website first, the strategy will bring everybody back to you and it becomes rote for you. It becomes just a routine. So where's your money?
Website
people.
I love that website first. It shows intent as well, because your analytics can get a little bit muddled because of the activity you're seeing on a social media page, where there are a lot of people who may be interacting with your content who are not your core, your absolute customer, your endpoint, your target audience,
Don't get
all
me
of that.
started
But
on that.
you just they like your content. For example, I can follow a construction company, but I'm not in construction. Right? And they're not
exactly.
But I have to take a moment and say it, guys. Keep going beyond the likes, and this conversation is really about go beyond the likes, right? That's what everyone's saying without saying it. Take your business beyond the likes, move beyond social media. Your website's important. I couldn't help myself. I had to throw in the go beyond the likes. Come on. It just fit in there so nicely.
It did. It's how apropos.
So I think what we're saying is that your website's really important. You want to make sure that you're updating your website. You want to make sure people have the most relevant information. You're giving them a place to binge, find those pain points. So on to the next point. All right, we're getting into the we're spending some time on these points though. I love that though. Point number 6. All right, so this one's important. So Michelle, jump in and talk about this a little bit. Social proof like reviews, testimonials, they're a powerful way to establish trust in potential customers and build credibility. Now, Michael just alluded to point number 6.
Yeah. It was a nice segue into it. Of course, as usual, Mr. Michael, you always do this and just so timely, aren't you? See? What I think one of the things that we all need to understand as buying consumers, we keep our small business entrepreneurial lens and hat on too often instead of sitting back and saying, as a consumer, what are my behaviors when I'm moving into and trying to purchase and engage with a business and give them my hard-earned money? And more often than not, I believe it's 8 out of 10 people will look for reviews or testimonials to validate their purchase from a complete stranger before they move on to say yes to you. So it is imperative that as you're engaging, you have a mechanism to have your purchasers either rate you by stars or give some type of verbiage that says, here's the benefit and the things that they have reaped from engaging with your company. Think about this. How many times have you searched on Amazon, if you're an Amazon purchaser, and looked for the 4 to 5 star reviews, or looked to read the comments and look to see if they posted any pictures of the thing that you're trying to purchase? Again, to validate and prove that social proofing that that business and that product is something that you want to purchase. So it is imperative as you are creating your action plans. One of the things I discuss with my clients is, how do we engage your clients to give you that information at a particular point in your relationship? It needs to be built into your strategy. It's not something that happens happenstance. It has to be intentional at a specific point of your relationship with your consumers, with your clients, that they give that information, that you're asking for that review, both good and bad. You need to understand the good, and you need to understand your opportunities for improvement to ensure that problem that they encounter doesn't happen again, to keep your ratings higher. So I'm going to get off that soapbox for a minute.
Listen, but I'm going to pick it right up, because I think that's that they're super important, right? The good and the bad. Sometimes in our businesses, we don't want to look at the bad. So if you get a bad review, what are you doing? Are you saying that this person was wrong? Well, are they wrong, or did something go wrong in that situation that you can learn from and change into your process that makes you better, stronger, faster, and convert more business on your website, right? Because that's what it's all about. So getting the reviews are important. Now, putting a process in place, and this is where we have struggled. Okay, so in this show, we're also going to tell you some of our dirty secrets where we could do better, but we're working on it. So we have customers who love working with us. And when they love working with us, we're not good at getting that on video. We're not good at getting the words pulled together, right? So but now we're putting a process in place, right? So we have a client that was with us for 3 years. They've grown, things have been really good, and they are moving on, which we love, because they've learned enough about people in order to be able to get to a place where they can handle their own. And that's really important to us too, right? We don't need to be your company forever. We need you to also understand digital so you can put a strategy and work it through. But one of the things we haven't done a good job of is collecting. They said to us, hey, when you're ready for the review, we're going to give it to you. And we have not pulled together time to get them recorded, get them on video. And that's going to be so important. So now Michael is actually making a list of himself. You see his face, right? He's like ashamed. Do you see me low-key shaming him? Michael's like, check. But we're going to do that now.
No, it's on my list today.
Yeah. And we're going to share it with you maybe in 2 weeks from now. So I've added a timeline too. But what we need to spend time with that customer, get them on Zoom, ask them a few questions, maybe send it to them ahead of time, right? So this is a way you can do it. Send it to someone ahead of time, ask them a few questions. So it's very specific on what they're responding to, and then give them an opportunity for an open-ended question to just talk about the business, to talk about your business, and then take that information. You can take that information, get it on a Zoom, and then you can chop it up. Now you have your customer talking about you, and there is that social proof. Because the idea is that we don't always want to talk about our businesses ourselves. We want to have other people talking about our businesses, because as Michelle mentioned in the beginning, that's really important. We listen to strangers before, and we believe strangers before we listen to, just the business itself. So it's important to get that social proof and put a strategy in place to get it, because sometimes it's just not easy. And people are not always out there like, oh my goodness, I'm ready to give you a review.
Right. But we need to prompt them. And here's the challenge that I throw down with every one of my clients is education here. It doesn't have to be at the end. As you are progressing through specific points, part of your practice to keep them in your sales continuum, another favorite statement of mine, is that there needs to be pulse checks along the way, not just at the beginning and at the end. Understanding, especially if you're in the type of business where it's a service that you're offering, understanding, are you meeting their need, or you're still on track with the goals? If they have a wonderful onboarding and right at implementation, you need to do a pulse check. And that's also a point that you can get words from them, get that feedback so that you can understand, are you on the right track in serving them and meeting exactly what you said you were going to do? Do a pulse check. At launch, that might be a great time. We might be at a euphoric moment at that place, but you get that back and forth. So ask for it, get the intention from them, and move forward every time. That way, by the time if you get to that end stage where you're trying to get that testimonial, that's a point of remembrance for them as well. They'll remember you engaging with them, the words they gave back to you, and you're more likely to get that testimonial faster as well, because the thought process isn't a big deal to them. You've already served up to them exactly what you want to pull out of them. Really, it's much, much easier than we allow it to be.
And
Absolutely.
I just want to add, Michelle, I love that you said it doesn't have to be at the end. So, everyone who's in that B2B space, think of when you're doing that project outline, include it in the project outline for your client. So it's not a, by the way, hey, would you like to give me a review at this point in time? This is a part of me solving your problem, which includes not just project milestones, but review milestones as well. So build it in from start so that the client knows it's coming, you know it's coming, pushes you to, make sure you perform well.
Right.
And you have that sit down and that, you're capturing that client success throughout the project, not just at the end.
And Tamara said something that's really important too. And there's what you're speaking to is transparent intention, and that what the problem that you recover from, that recovery and stating that you stumbled and recovered from it and putting it out there is just as important, because that also tells your prospective customers that yes, they're not perfect, but they will try to do right by me in case something goes wrong. They will come back and try to resolve and do right by me. So yes, I can probably trust them in case something happens, because no one is infallible.
I love that point. I love that point. And I think the part that if I wasn't on camera, you'd have seen me scribbling quickly to get, because clearly, so that this is homework for me. This is homework for me. But I like the point where you say, you need to make it easy. I have, in my own business, I know I have to get testimonials as well from my clients. But even as a user, even as a customer, you go and you interact with businesses, and then they say, well, make sure to follow us and leave a review. And I mean, you say yes, and you say, yeah, sure. And then you never do. And it's nothing that it doesn't, it's not a bad thing. It's not that you don't want to, but you just haven't made it very easy for me. Right. So if maybe right then and there, as the service was completed, somebody said, hey, Andrea, would you just leave a few words before you leave our location? Would you just like to say how your experience was? And right then and there, if I say it, okay, great, I'm done. And I move on. And you get, so I think maybe I could say for sure, I'm seeing it from the two perspectives. As a business owner, I know I have to put it in place. And as a customer, I've been on that end where I've had great service, but it's just so time consuming to go and leave this review. And then Misha made a very good point. What is it you want them to talk about? Sending it ahead of time. When you just tell me leave a review and with no guiding points as to what to say, you actually put pressure on me, right? You actually put pressure on me to what to say. So I love this point from both sides.
Yeah, because there's a review. I always get into that. I'm like, what do you want me to say? Like, it's like, do I need to write an essay? Do I need to write a description?
And
Like,
then I go as like, listen, I don't have time for this. I have my own videos to do for my business. I really don't have time to stress over this.
because there's nothing in it for you, right? There's really nothing
Correct.
for you. So
And
this
it's
is
not that you don't want to support the business. It's not that.
100%. But it's not that
It's
you don't need to go the extra mile. The customer does not. We need to. That's what the fact is. The customer does not need to go the extra mile. The business needs to go the extra mile. So if the business wants a review, they need to put a process in place that makes it easy
Right.
customer. Because if you had a great experience and you're at that store and someone pulled out a phone and be like, hey, Andrew, can you answer these 4 questions really quickly? I know you might not like video, but you're feeling really good. You're in that moment. You get those 4 questions, you answer them. They now have 4 pieces of content. They can take content. They can transcribe that content so they can use the words with your picture, with your video. It becomes this process that's really easy and the customer doesn't feel pressure. Are some people going to say no? Absolutely. But just imagine if you got one person to say yes every day to giving you a review. I mean, that's game changing. That's 365 days, except for the days that you're off, I mean, so there you go.
Right.
That's a little, we spent some time on this point though. We spent some time. All right. Moving on along. Do you see me here showing my go be on the All right, point number 7. So I'm going to kick this over to Michael. Mike and I are going to talk about this. Mike, data collection. It really allows organizations to collect data quickly when you have it connected to your website. And then also it allows them to efficiently make informed decisions. So let's talk about that data collection as an important part of having a website that converts.
Well, so first of all, you've got to make sure you understand what are your data points that you want to collect, right? So you want to make sure that sometimes at the top of the table, you might be collecting traffic information, you might be collecting, country information, device information, but then we want to get a little bit deeper. And when we're talking data collection, I want to start knowing more and more about my customers and their behaviors when they come into my shop. So I want to make sure that those that have given me emails, can I track if they've opened, not just if they've opened the email, if they've engaged with the email, if they've clicked out to where I wanted them to go to from that email. Then I want to know, okay, did they visit any pages on my website? And there are systems now, and we will be getting into that in future shows, especially HubSpot, talking about how you can track that data and get an ongoing picture of your customer and customer behavior. Because it's always about making sure that once you understand and you have that data, you can process that data. It comes back to putting you in a position where you're giving the right information to the right people at the right time. And that's always where we want to set. So we want to make sure that you're looking at your online presence from that data collection standpoint as well, because sometimes we miss that. We've worked with clients where we realize we've had to go in and basically do some connections because we weren't able to measure specific points in the sales continuum, right? So you want to make sure you're doing that data collection. Tamara, I know you are our analytics person behind the scenes, so I'll kick it back to you. But yeah, data collection, you've got to make sure you know what you're collecting and how you're collecting it.
Right. I mean, I obsess about analytics, even though I have on this cool sequence. I am simply just a nerd who obsesses about analytics, and it's really
you're a creative nerd. You're good.
Nerd, right? But we really start taking a look at what's important, what data are we collecting, right? And what do we want things to do, and what information are we getting from that, and then how do we use that information? So it's this whole digital marketing thing, right? Is really about that. It's about getting information, reacting to the information, doing something, maybe changing, optimizing something that then allows us to get better. There's definitely no magic pill for digital marketing, but the data collection allows us to make informed decisions. I can't say that enough. It allows us to make those informed decisions so we know, hey, our customers are coming to our website. When they come to the website, there's a form. They're not filling out the form, but it tells us that they're starting to fill out the form, but they never complete filling out the form. Well, the first thing we look at is maybe it's too much information. As Andrea talked about earlier on, are you dating them, or are you asking them for, the bra size, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Are you asking for all the information, or is it just simply that you're like, and I can't believe I just said bra size. Is this going to be edited? Just like dating to bra size. I'm like, oh, wow. I just have to pull back on
live TV.
Okay.
I know, right? I'm like, explicit.
This is a live show. It's a live show.
Live show, right? Stuff happens. But yeah, you want to then look to see, did I ask them for too much information on the form? Did I ask them for too many details, right? And slowly collecting data is okay. So if someone is not completing the form, but you see that they've started the form, then maybe you need to say, hey, there's too much information. Maybe I just need name and email address at this point in time. Once they're in your database, you can continue to talk to them. So what are the first points of data that people are comfortable giving? Understanding that as well. Where a lot of times we're comfortable giving our email address and maybe our first name, possibly our first name and our last name in that first interaction with you. So how much data are you collecting? And then also using that data to make informed decisions. If you notice that the form is too long, change it. Change the form. Don't be afraid to let the data drive decisions. Change the form, make updates. That's the entire thing about digital, right? You can make changes very, very quickly, and you can get these data points very, very quickly. So what are you looking at to get this data?
It is. Tamara, it's been a moment since I've said this too, but this is not a feeling strategy that you're dealing with. This is a data-driven strategy. You cannot feel your way through to success. It has to be driven by something that is your point, that says, here's where I'm trying to go. There's coordinates for anything that you have on a map. There's a reason for that, so that there's a direct line to where you're going to. You're not, if you're like me, I'm directionally challenged. If I'm going to feel my way, I'm going to feel my way the wrong way. So use the data, listen and honor that data and move toward it, not disregard it because it doesn't feel right. Not a feeling strategy.
Oh my God, I love it. Point
Numbers
number
don't
8.
lie.
Numbers lie,
Numbers
right?
don't lie.
And that's the facts. All right. So point number, so we've made it to the 7 points, but guess what, guys? We got a bonus point for you. So let's pop in this bonus point. This bonus point is your offline strategy, right? Your offline strategy is just as important as your online strategy, and you should leverage your offline strategy to drive people to your online strategy, right? You should say, hey, go to my website, take the quiz, go to my website, sign up for email. You'll get information here. Use offline to drive to online to continue the conversation. And Andrea and Michelle, I'm going to kick this over to you because Michelle, I know we talked a little bit about things like conferences. How can you use that conference setting? And Andrea, I know you just have, some thoughts around offline strategy because there's a lot happening in the finance space offline, and how does that connect the dots? So I'm going to pass it over to you ladies to jump in a little bit on the offline strategy.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I was going to say the relationship that you have with your client is primarily away from the public eye. And that's one of the things we have to understand. Social media is just that. It's social media. It's there for you to meet someone, and then your relationship moves away from that place so that you can move towards something that's a bit deeper, something that is more open, honest, and that you really get to understand them. And that is away from the everyday crazy that you have there. It's a nurturing sequence that you have where you're inviting them into your space, into your world, to know a bit more about you. That can't happen in crazy places, and it needs to happen in a place that you can control, that you can update. That's why we say bring them to your website. Have an email nurture sequence, a text conversation as well. We're in, like Tamara pulled up, everybody's got this mobile phone in their hand right away. A place of quick response. We are more apt to have a conversation in short form and on your phone. So it's important for you to have an extremely well thought out, intentional, transparent strategy that is away from the IGs and the TikToks of the world, to allow a deeper relationship and for them to say yes. They can say yes, but eventually it's taking them offline, away from that place, for them to say yes to you. So it's important for you to have that well thought out strategy there that has nothing to do with you showing your beautiful face on TikTok or Instagram.
Or doing a dance.
Well, look, I lost him if that's the case, because this dancing will never happen.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But yeah, so the offline strategy is so critical because it really is that final, I don't know if I want to call it the final link that brings it all together. And I could say from my own experience, I've been focusing a lot on where am I showing up outside of the website that people could get to know me. So, this past year, I've engaged heavily in PR. I've actually brought on a publicist. You all know her, Carla. And we've been working with a strategy to, get me out there. And that's offline, meaning that's something, not even all of it is on my website. I'm trying to develop it now to link it back to the website. But things like doing that, getting your name out there, things like having workshops. So this year, 2023, I've set a goal to have one free webinar every month, right? So to tackle a topic and be able for persons to be able to come into my space. That's not on my website. That's people who may not have found me on the website, but come and get to know me via this way. Hosting workshops. I'm actually hosting my first ever workshop on Friday in person with Dana. Yeah, Dana, who usually comments on our show. We're collaborating and we're having our first ever in-person workshop. And that's again another way to help find and connect with the people offline. It has nothing to do with the website. Of course, there'll be a strategy in place, but you'll put it on the site after. But there's so many other things that as a business owner you can do, even if the website is not perfect, because that's my situation. It's still a work in progress. So what are the other things that you could do that people could see, hey, let me get to know this person, and so I
ABC. Always be
Right.
closing. Always be closing. I think Tamara and I talked about it. We were on vacation. Well, both of us, and you went to Trinidad. I went home to New Orleans, and you pick a place, and somehow I'm bringing lagniappe up in the conversation. It's going to
Right.
come up, or people are serving it up to you, and they want to know and want to hear about those things. I was at a concert, at a parade, at a ball, all dressed up in my finery. And it is at dinner. People want to know, they've seen you, want to engage with you, and it's imperative that you allow yourself to pull that string, engage even in that environment, to push your business forward, let them into your world, and move that business to a place where you're closing it. So ABC, always be closing.
I love that
Absolutely.
strategy, the offline strategy. So that's the 8 bonus points. I have one example. I'm gonna beat this dead horse. I'm gonna share one offline example. We did sweatshirts. Michael had one on on Monday, not last week. So I was in the airport with my sweatshirt, my Monovan sweatshirt on, saying "Go beyond the likes," just like this. It looks exactly like this, well, except for the lipstick. Go beyond the likes, Monovan Digital. And someone in a TSA agent stopped me and was just like, "You do digital marketing? I need your information." And I sent them my digital business card, and automatically, we connected. So now what happened with that is that I lost his information because I changed my SIM card when I traveled. So I lost his information. So if that TSA agent happens to be watching this show, please reach out to me, because I think about it, because I'm like, oh my God, I really need to connect with this guy. But the shirt, and I asked him, I'm like, what? Was it the shirt? He was just like, yeah. So actually wearing a sweatshirt that said "Go beyond the likes," walking into the airport at 4:00 in the morning, the first day with a sweatshirt got me a lead right away. So that's part of the offline strategy now. So, I mean, look out for the Monovan clothing line, because I feel like that's what I need to do to promote the business. But that was really a simple way that an offline strategy worked, and it was something we were just testing out. So it definitely works, and you want to connect all the dots with your offline, with your online. And simply, that's where we get to a place where it's simply just marketing, right? It's no longer digital marketing, but it's really just marketing when everything is connected. So really, really excited about this conversation. And guys, today we've been talking about really how to convert more visitors into customers with a winning website strategy. And what we provided you here is really 7 key points. So you can share this with a friend, go back over, watch the video. 7 key points on how to convert more visitors into customers with a winning strategy. Super important that your website can work for you. So team, you know what time it is. It's time for us to get out of here. So thank you so much, guys, for joining. This was really, really, really awesome. And so everyone who has joined us today, we see that we have some people from YouTube. We have some people that are with us from Facebook, people on LinkedIn. Super excited that you are joining our community. Your Business in Digital is a show where we really focus on bridging the gaps between finance, sales, marketing, and operations, so that we can really help you effectively do digital marketing and reap the benefits of the work that you're putting in. We started this week really talking about websites, the importance of that website, and how to get them to be converting for your business. So definitely listen to us. We are here every Monday, every Wednesday, broadcasting across LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, you'll see us on some other channels. We started uploading the podcast to Apple and Spotify, so we'll start talking about that a little bit more. Thank you so much for joining us. Have an amazing, amazing day. All right, take it easy, guys. We will have a great day. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.